Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you give me a hand signal? Good, perfect. Okay. Hi. Thank you for, first of all, my name is Carmen Pang, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon in Singapore and early in the morning in Europe, where our speaker is. So as I said, my name is Carmen Pang, and I'm with the Singapore Wildcat Action Group. And welcome to another edition of our Wildcat Lecture. It's been a few months since our last webinar, and I'm so happy to see so many of you joining us, and also to see quite a few new faces. So we're very excited about that. So today we're going to learn more about the Iberian lynx. It's the first time we have a lecture about a European wildcat, so we're very much looking forward to it. We'll introduce our speaker to you in just a moment, but before we proceed, I'd like to mention that as you've probably noticed already, we'll be recording today's webinar, and a recording will be available on the SWAG YouTube channel, where you'll also find recordings of our previous lectures. So please do check out the channel. You can just search for on YouTube for Singapore Wildcat Action Group and share about it with your friends. And also, may I ask that you do mute your microphone during the presentation and to please use the chat function to ask questions. We'll be monitoring the chat and we'll ask all the submitted questions during the Q&A segment following the presentation. So now that we've gotten that taken care of, let's get today's program started. As many of you already know, SWAG was founded in 2019, and we've been organizing these Wildcat lectures regularly, and as part of our mission to bring awareness of wildcats to the public. But additionally, SWAG actually does a lot of other activities and events to raise funds to support tiger conservation. And here to tell us more about SWAG and to introduce our speaker today is my co-host and SWAG co-founder, Dr. Vilma Di Rosario. Vilma, over to you.
Thanks, Carmen. And hello, everyone. We are so happy to see so many of you here. Well, just a few words about the Singapore Wildcat Action Group, of which Carmen and I and a whole lot of other volunteers are part of. We are a group of volunteers who are passionate about wildcats. We have a special love for the Malayan tiger and fondness for our own Singaporean mainland leopard cats. We believe in taking meaningful action that helps us achieve our mission of building grassroots support for wildcat conservation and to realize our goal of raising funds to protect the Malayan tiger. There are less than 150 Malayan tigers left in the wild. And since 2019, SWAG, Singapore Wildcat Action Group, has been on the ground with our partners, the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers, and other partners like RIMAO, the Traffic Southeast Asia, the Wildlife Conservation Society, and many other NGOs and groups in Malaysia to try and protect the Malayan tiger. But today we have a focus on a different wildcat, also a predator, and this is the Iberian lynx. And we really hope that by listening to this talk, we can regain more inspiration and motivation to fight better for our Malayan tiger. So the speaker for today is Dr. Pedro Sarmento. He is the technical director of Portugal's Iberian Lynx reintroduction project, which is a key component of the European Union's LIFE project, LynxConnect. Dr. Pedro is a wildlife biologist with a PhD in ecology and more than 30 years experience in wildlife conservation. He has authored more than 40 papers, scientific papers, mainly on endangered predators. He's also a collaborator on wildcat conservation across South America and Africa. today, Dr. Pedro Sarmento is going to give us more information about lynx reintroduction over the last 10 years, from critically endangered, almost extinct, to having now 2,500 wild lynxes in Portugal and Spain. So that's incredible, and we are really looking forward to hearing more from Dr. Pedro Sarmento. Dr. Pedro, please, over to you.
So good afternoon to Singapore. Here in Portugal, it's early morning. I'm just going to share my screen and starting my presentation. But first of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation. And although I am the one presenting this work, it really represents the work of dozens of people that during the last 30 years worked in Portugal and Spain to bring back this species from a nearly extinction. So share the screen. Just a moment. Sorry, I just had a few problems with my earplug. Well, I'm going to just change a little bit the title of the presentation. I call it Wildcat, a decade of Iberian Lynx reintroduction in Portugal. And although I'm going to speak mostly for what happened in Portugal, because I'm responsible for that, but I'm going to talk about the entire situation of this species. And I'm going to start, since I'm talking to people in the other side of the world, I'm just going to do a little bit of introduction about what it is, an Iberian lynx. So in the world, the lynx genus occupies the northern hemisphere. There are no lynx species outside the northern hemisphere, and we have four living species today. So according to historical data from fossil record, we know that the lynx, it's originated on North America, probably on North America. And in North America, we have two species: the Canadian lynx, which lives in the northern parts, which is a species specialized on preying upon snowshoe hare. And then we have a little bit south, the bobcat, which is a very generalistic species. It occurs in all sorts of habitats, preying upon all sorts of prey. And according to the fossil record, probably this was the first species to speciate or to appear, to differentiate from a common ancestor. And then we have the Eurasian lynx, which is the biggest of the lynx, almost 30 kilos. It appears since France till the extreme of Asia, the extreme east of Asia, and it preys mostly on ungulates, on deer and bigger prey. Then we have the Iberian lynx. The Iberian lynx, the scientific name is Lynx pardinus, and pardinus means spotted or heavily spotted. He has a common ancestor with the Eurasian lynx, but he only occurs naturally in the Iberian Peninsula, which is Portugal and Spain. He's a little bit smaller than the Eurasian lynx, and is specialized on eating smaller prey, such as the European wild rabbit. So historically, this species is basically a product of the ice ages. The Iberian Peninsula was, as the rest of Europe, the rest of the Northern Hemisphere, covered by glaciers, but it was a refuge. So this species appeared in the Iberian Peninsula about 1 million years ago, and is specialized in a small prey, in the European wild rabbit, which is also endemic from the Iberian Peninsula. So most of his food intake, almost 90%, comes from this species, but it can prey upon other species, such as also ungulates, another small species. Its natural distribution varied a lot regarding the occupation by the glaciers. So about 40,000 years ago, the range of the species was a little bit wider, occupying South France and the Italian peninsula. So as you can see, this the species is very much more smaller than the Eurasian lynx. Males can reach 16 kilos, although Eurasian lynx can reach something like 30 kilos, and basically ecologically, he is much more specialized on smaller prey, as I told you. So this is the life cycle. Usually the estrus occur between December and January. In February, there are the pregnancies. The births usually occur between March and April, which is the spring in the Northern Hemisphere. Juveniles are dependent from the mothers from about 6-7 months. And dispersal usually occurs in the last months of the year. But dispersal usually from the animals that were born in the previous year. The animals that are born in the current year, usually they take a little more time to disperse. In terms of productivity, so the litters vary from 1 to 5. 1 is very rare, 5 is also very rare. Sometimes it happens, but usually each female has something like 2 cubs. So historically, what happened? So although the species was distributed in the Iberian Peninsula, when we reached the mid-20th century, the species was very fragmented and was occupying the center and the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula in rather fragmented areas. And we know now by data mostly from numbers that the species in that time was about 1,500 to 2,000 individuals. But then something happened, and by the beginning of this century, the situation was rather dramatic. And a census that was made in Portugal and Spain revealed that lynx was only present in 2 populations, 2 small populations, isolated populations, and both of them, one of them, Doñana, with less than 30 individuals, and the other one with something like 70 individuals. So the species was really in the brink of extinction. And for bringing back this species from this kind of scenario, took lots of effort, and it was necessary. Otherwise, the species will be extinct now. So why was the Iberian lynx in risk? Well, there are 3 main causes. First of all, human persecution. So the species was protected in Portugal in 67, in Spain, I think in 68, but it continued to be persecuted. And this was a main cause of its disappearance. This is the only case that we had of a lynx that was poached in Portugal during the reintroduction, but so it's still persecuted right now, but in lesser numbers, of course. Habitat destruction, it happens very heavily, both in Portugal and in Spain by the mid-20th century for agricultural purposes or even forest purposes, but it was very heavy in some regions, so it also affected the lynx. And a very dramatic problem, a very important ecological disaster that happened also in Europe with introduction of 2 rabbit diseases that almost destroyed the rabbit populations, and rabbits is very important as a prey in the Mediterranean ecosystems. These diseases were myxomatosis that appeared in what's deliberately introduced in Europe for controlling rabbits, but then it spread dramatically, and also the viral hemorrhagic disease, which is more recent and with much higher mortality rates. So I'm just talking about a little bit about the prey of the Iberian lynx, the European wild rabbit. So it is endemic from the Iberian Peninsula, and it's the most important prey for more than 20 species of predators here in the Iberian Peninsula, not only mammals, but also birds of prey. So it's basically the cornerstone of the food chain in the wild. And currently, the species is classified as vulnerable by the Portuguese Red Data Book. It's incredible because Spain, the name Spain, comes from a Phoenician word that is literally called the land of the rabbits. So the truth is that rabbits were widespread throughout the Iberian Peninsula. And I recall when I was younger than I am today, about 20 years, when I was about 20 years, I recall seeing rabbits everywhere. And then with the rabbit hemorrhagic disease, most of the population disappeared. So it was a very huge problem that we have to address to save the Iberian lynx. So around 2000, what was the situation of the Iberian lynx? So the species was facing an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild, and it had more than 50% of becoming extinct in less than 10 years, with what is something like 3 generations. And so that's why the species was classified by the International Union of Nature Conservancy, the IUCN, as critically endangered, which is a very risky situation because worse than that is extinct in the wild. So we need to do something, and that was a long path to recovery, but well, steps were done according to very restricted protocols. So one crucial aspect was that in 1999, it was created the Iberian Lynx Work Group. This was created for implementing the Spanish strategy for conservation of the species, but had Portuguese participation. And I was present in the first meeting. And in this first meeting is when we realized that the situation of species was quite dramatic. According to feasible data, most basically on camera trapping, species was not appearing anywhere. And so it was necessary to do something. What we decided to do was an Iberian lynx census, using only reliable information as lynx presence, such as camera trapping and genetic analysis of scats. PCR was appeared 7 years before this, so it was already being used for wildlife studies, and that was a very important landmark for wildlife studies. And then we conducted the first Iberian Lynx seminar after the census. So the census, we realized during the census that the species was almost extinct and it was necessary to do something. And in this first seminar, we presented the results, and we just decided that the only way to do it was through captive breeding and reintroduction. So 1 year later, started the captive breeding program in Spain with just one center, but then several centers were constructed, 3 more in Spain and 1 in Portugal. And then this is also a very important landmark, a political agreement between Spain and Portugal, between the ministers of environment of both countries, in the Iberian Summit, which is a political event that happens every 2 years. They signed an agreement for the protection of the Iberian lynx and also another critically endangered species, the Iberian imperial eagle. And this was made possible all the things that occur late. So in 2007, it was approved this thing, the PACLIP, which is the Portuguese action plan for the conservation of Iberian lynx, that presented all the guidelines for saving the species, and it was a political document. And in 2 years later, so the National Center for Captive Reproduction of Lynx, which is called CNRLI, was constructed in Portugal and allowed Portugal to enter in the program and to participate in the production of lynxes for reintroduction. And so in 2009, another political agreement was done between Portugal and Spain. Spain agreed to donate lynx to Portugal for captive breeding. This was also very important because lynx was extinct in Portugal. And the first reintroduction started, first of all, in Andalusia, in Spain. The first ones not with captive-born animals, but with wild animals that were translocated, just to ensure that those isolated populations could increase their genetics. And then started the reintroductions outside Andalusia in Spain which was very important because Spain has lots of autonomic regions that work almost independently of each other. So it was very important to us. So it was a landmark because the first lynx were outside the autonomic region of Andalusia. And then in 2014, we did reintroduction in Portugal. And just a little bit of history. So this was the first seminar, a very tense seminar, a very difficult one. That's me over there. The third one from the left, a little bit younger. And this is the Spanish coordinator of the census. So we both did the census. I did it in Spain and he did it in he did it in Spain, I did it in Portugal. We presented the results, and it was a shock because most people weren't expected of such a bad scenario. But then 2 years later, on the second seminar, everything was pacified, and that's when we defined the strategy and we start planning the future, and everything started happening. So the strategy for lynx recovery was based in several steps. One of the most important was organization. We had to organize 2 countries. We organized several autonomic regions, ONGs, hunters groups, state owners groups. Everyone that could contribute to this project was under the umbrella of this organization, and the definition of a strategy. And most important, we have in Europe the LIFE program, which finances nature conservation projects, environmental projects also. And this was the financial base to do everything. So from this, we went to the captive breeding program that was constructed during several years. Several centers were constructed in Portugal and Spain. And then when we passed to reintroduction, we have to follow CN guidelines for reintroduction, which consist in several steps that are regulated by protocols. We have also to write those protocols, to test those protocols, and then to reach the
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you.
Pedro.
Pedro, we can't hear you. Oh, maybe he can't hear us. Pedro, we can't hear you. Hi, Pedro, we can't hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Could you go over this? Yeah, from the beginning, we lost you right in the beginning.
Several centers in one in a zoo that operated as a backup, and this is a photograph from our center in southern Portugal. These are the enclosures where the lynx are kept, where they reproduce. And here you can see the facilities from above, several enclosures, and also a clinic and several structures for support of the center. And here, this is a place for recovering injured animals that come from the for training and for recovering injured animals that can be taken from the wild. I'm sorry, I just have here a problem. Okay, this is a video from 2 days ago. So the first birth in I'm sorry, I'm having some technical problems. Let's see if I can just operate this. No, I'm sorry. It's saying that I cannot reproduce. Just going to go back a little bit and try to see if I can reproduce the video. Okay, that's the video. So what I see, we are seeing here, it's a litter of 4 cubs that were born 2 days ago. I think it's the first birth in the center of seals this year. And so these animals can be reintroduced next year, or they can be used to replace reproductive lynxes that are getting too old for the captive breeding program. And so what happens during all these years since the captive breeding program started? So they produced something like 300 lynxes for reintroduction. They were released both in Portugal and Spain. As you can see from this graphic, not all the animals are released. Sometimes you have birth and then sometimes you have death, and sometimes the animals are used to replace other ones that reproductive lynxes that are becoming too old for the reproduction. But this program is producing a great amount of lynxes for reintroduction, and so its main objective is to support the conservation, the in situ conservation. So reintroduction is as I said, it's a very complex process. The OCN guidelines are very difficult to achieve, but it is the only way to do it. So there is planning, there is the design of a monitoring program, what is called an exit strategy. It's something what to do if things go wrong, if you have to remove the species for problems, for some kind of problems or whatever. We have to do a feasibility design, which is also very important because we have to do a very, very detailed survey of the area chosen for reintroduction. We have to be also to dedicate ourselves to social aspects, because social acceptance is crucial in terms of reintroduction. It's quite important. To do resource availability, selecting the areas, release strategy, programs of monitoring, etc. It's a rather complex process, and we did something like 10 years of work before the reintroduction in order to achieve those results. And one very important thing is the adaptive management cycle. So sometimes we start doing things in one way. As we monitor the process, sometimes we have to correct things. We have to release the animals in a different way. It's very complex, and in the first years we have to absolutely register everything that we did, all the results, in order to take decisions with the scientific support. So that led us to this live project, the first one, with the reintroduction outside Spain. So the Iberian Lynx project that, first of all, had the objective of conserving the 2 remaining lynx populations, and also to prepare and establish 5 more areas, 1 in Portugal and several in other autonomic regions of Spain. And that's when everything started. So what we have here in this map, first of all, we have the 2 remain populations, here Doñana in southern Spain, and here Andújar. Those 2 populations were created before the Iberian Lynx project, and then several areas were chosen for the reintroduction. And those areas were one here in this autonomic region, which is called Castilla-La Mancha, which is very well known for the adventures of Don Quixote. 2 reintroduction areas here, one near Toledo and the other one near the border with Andalusia, one in this autonomic region in Extremadura, Spain, and one in Portugal. So why do you choose this area? First of all, because the availability of habitat, high availability of wild rabbits, which was extremely crucial, the size of the area, the protection status, because it's a natural park, possibilities for meta-population integration, so possibilities of lynxes born here could move between these populations, what already happened. And so this area was chosen, prepared, and lots of work was done in the social perspective also. We have the luck to work with hunting associations that were crucial for the reintroduction. Most of them supported the reintroduction and agree with the reintroduction, although we're introducing a predator that can prey on game species, but they realized that it was also important for the region in terms of promotion and in terms of ecological tourism also. So what's unique on this area? First of all, we're talking about one of the hotspots of biodiversity in Mediterranean Europe. We have lots of species that can be preyed by a lynx, including, of course, rabbits, partridges, and ungulates. The species of ungulates where the lynx can prey upon. So I'm just going to show you a small video with an introduction to this area called the Guadiana Valley, which is this river over here. And so this is a quite spectacular region. This river has a very interesting canyon, as you can see here. This is during the summer, but during the winter, the water can reach the highest parts. Here, what we are seeing, it's called the Mediterranean scrubland. This has areas with small trees, mostly cork oak trees, olive trees, pistachio trees. This is a cork oak tree. In some areas, the forest is a little bit more developed. These are vultures. We have here 2 species, and this is the Iberian imperial eagle, a critical endangered species. These are 2 juveniles. And then we have the potential prey for lynx. So here we have fallow deer, and we also have another species, a bigger one, which is the red deer. As you can see, a very dry region. This is during summer. The summers are very dry, and of course here we have the staple prey of the lynx, the European wild rabbit, and then just to finish this video, we have the predator. We have the lynx. This is an already reintroduced lynx, as you can see, had a color. And that's why we chose this area. So Guadiana Valley was chosen for all of these reasons. And one important thing that we did management agreements with landowners. It was necessary to do it in order to get to the founds of life. And so by 2014, we have everything ready for reintroduction. And so how do we reintroduce lynx? How do we put animals that were born in captivity in the wild? So it was a rather complex process. Also, we have to learn lots of techniques during this process. So we just, first of all, when we put the first lynx, couple of lynxes in the wild, the male and the female, we did it inside of an enclosure. So what was the main objective of this? First of all, to break felopatry behavior, and that is returning to the origin point, to try to fixate the animals in the area. And so we can summarize the release strategy with something like this. The first couple was put it in a soft release enclosure in late December 12-14. And the main objective of this was to, as I said, try, first of all, break the felopatry behavior, and also try to fixate the animals in the area. And 2 months after that, we release the lynxes with this objective, and this happened. So we were lucky enough to fixate the animals in the boundaries of the enclosure. They were attracted also to the enclosure by the presence of the second couple. And what we wanted to do was something like this, to fixate the animals. We knew that when we released the second couple, they were not going to remain in the area because there were 2 lynxes there, and they are very territorial. But we could fixate them in the boundaries of this territory. This didn't happen like this, but the truth is, because some animals disappeared or went back to other places. But in the end of that year, when we released 10 animals, we had a scenario something like this. We put 4 couples inside of the enclosure in a succession, and we were able to fixate them in the nearby region. And then we started the hard releases, releasing animals directly in the wild. And well, I have here some examples. This is a lynx being released. This is a collar that we used back then. Now it's a different system, but it's a double system. It has a VHS system that allows a radio system that allows to detect the animals immediately, and a GPS GSM system that sends automatically the data for a computer. So here we have something like a typical situation. The animal was released here. It did some exploratory behavior during the 2 or 3 weeks. Usually, sometimes it can reach something as 3 months. He explored all the adjacent region, established a temporary home range, and then he dislocated here and established his final home range. Well, this is a typical situation of an animal that had success. Some of them didn't have. Some of them died. Some of them disappeared. Everything. So it's a rather complex figure. It's from a scientific paper, but I'm going to try to explain what happened. So what we have is something like this: a post-release dispersal where animals can do random walks. It's impossible to predict. Then some temporary home ranges with some exploratory movements, and sometimes they just don't like this space and they move further and they establish the final home range, and these are exploratory movements. Some differences between the animals that were born in the wild and the captive born animals that are born in the wild, not for reintroduction, but they are born in the wild because populations start reproduction. They have faster movements. Captive animals move slowly. Sometimes they move more. But the truth is, the most important results of this study is that for a reintroduction, it's easier to use captive-born animals, and wild lynxes can be used for reinforcement of the population. So one of the things that we are start doing now is to translocate animals, since there are being born lots of animals in the wild, that translocate animals to reinforce the already existing populations. So the release strategy, just a summary from Portugal, 61 lynxes were released during these years. Most of them during this project are Iberian Lynx. Then we had a 2 years gap, and then we have another live project. It is still ongoing, LynxConnect. As you can see, the number of released lynxes start to decrease. In 2023, we didn't release any lynx, and in 2024, we released just 2 males for genetic reasons. They were released in the southern part of the population here because we were starting to see lots of inbreeding here, and it was important to inject new genetics. So 50 lynxes were released directly in the wild in several areas. Here you have the natural park of Guadiana Valley. Most of them, some of them were released outside of the park. 11 in the soft release enclosure, and currently 18% are alive and 60% were breeders. So since we started releasing animals 10 years ago, some of them are already dead or disappeared, but we have a very important success in terms of reproduction with 60% of breeders. This is quite astonishing. And just some individual stories now, some interesting stories. This is the first couple, Jacarandá and Kathmandu. All the lynxes have names, and they are done alphabetically each year as a letter. So Jacarandá was born in 2012. It was a J year. So every lynx name starts with a J. She was born in Portugal in Silves, disappeared in 2021. She was replaced by a daughter. She had 7 cubs, and currently she has 42 live descendants. Kathmandu was born in Spain. He's from a K year from 2013. He died in 2017, probably killed by his neighbor, which is going to appear in the next slide. And he only had 2 cubs from Jacarandá, 2 females, one in 2016 and another one in 2017. Not a very good success in terms of descendant, 24, but these are, well, these they have the record. These two ones released on the first year. Lagunilla, that was born in 2014, and Luso, also an L name, so it was born in the same year. Lagunilla, it's the female with more cubs in the population, 27 cubs, so she reproduced six times. Currently has 87 live descendants, and Luso has 167 live descendants. So about 50% of the population are descendants of these lynx. He bred with something like 5 or 6 females, and he was extremely successful. And in this photograph, he's eating a fallow deer. So he was also very big because he was preying on bigger prey. Another important story, the fantastic voyage of Litio. So Litio was a very interesting lynx. He appeared on BBC because of his journeys. He was released in the Guadiana Valley in 2015. Then he stayed there for about 6 months. Then he started moving to his home where he was born in the breeding center of Doñana. And when he got there, he was very ill with leptospirosis. He was almost dying. They captured him. He stayed about 6 months in a recovery center. Then we went there and get him back. Then he started doing the same. 4 days after he was released, he started going to Doñana again, to Spain again. And then we don't know why he just decided to go back to Portugal. But he decided to go to an urban area in Portugal, near Faro, which is a very large city. We tried to capture him. We couldn't. And then we lost the signal. We lost the signal for about 1 year and a half. And then 1 year and a half later, we received a photograph from Spain of a lynx that was detected in an urban area. Nobody knew who this lynx was, and I identify him as Litio. And he was over there. He was near Barcelona. So we captured him again. And well, we thought we captured him again. We took him back to Portugal again. And we thought that he was going to start wandering again. And he didn't. It just located something like about 4 kilometers. He found a female, and he's still alive. He's the only lynx from the first year that is still alive, with lots of descendants, and he's doing well. As you can see in this photograph, he's very big, a very big one, very heavy one. So here I have a small video about the process of releasing a lynx since the breeding center to liberty. So this is in Spain, in Granadilla. This is the Granadilla Center, and this is the clinic. And this is our team. I don't appear because I was in the camera, using the camera. This is the color. So what we do, we go, first of all, go to the center to put the color and do all the analysis. Then we wait for about 2 weeks for the results of the analysis. And then we go there and take the lynx back to the reintroduction area. As you can see, there is the name of the lynx, Pontilla, which is a female in a P ear. This is 2019. This is a very important process because we are recording the coat patterns, which can be very important for the identification on the field. The animal is checked for everything, you know, parasites and health status and whatever. And so they are just doing that. And then after all this process, we have to collect blood also for analysis. And these animals, which is very important, these animals are selected according to their genetics. So there's in Spain, in Seville, in the University of Seville, there's an expert there that gathers all the genetics of all the lynxes. He decides the mating in captivity, but he also decides what animals are best for genetics, because we're talking about a species that has the lowest genetic diversity within all mammals. So because of the population was so reduced, that we lost lots of genetics during that process. And so genetics is very important because animals sometimes are suffering from genetic problems such as epilepsy and such as renal diseases and kidney diseases and sometimes infertility. So genetics is quite an important process. So after 15 days, there's the release. The animals are transported to the place that was selected. Well, according to several factors, one of them is an agreement with landowners, because we're talking about private land. So there are 2 lynxes here, and most of these situations they are public, because it's quite important to do it publicly, because for all the awareness of the people, and sometimes there are children there releasing the lynxes. It's very important for dissemination. So these 2 females, sometimes they live very relaxed, sometimes they just live very fast. So these 2 females, they both survive, they both reproduce, and so it's as you can see, we have some politicians here and children and whatever, and this is well, sometimes it's very important. Sometimes it's one of the main events, and it's quite important for the dissemination of the project. So what happened to the population? So the population grew very fastly from the first years, as you can see, from less than 10 individuals, some other 300 in 2024. So now we have something like 244 lynxes with more than 1 year old that are all identified by camera trapping. This year we have 110 cubs, which is more than all the lynxes that we released from captivity. And we have 2 important landmarks. The first reproduction in the wild in 2016, 2 females reproduced and had 5 cubs. And then 2 years later, those females, the females that were born in 2016 were already adults, and it was the first reproduction of lynxes in the wild. And here, just for a matter of curiosity, we have a lynx, a small one, that was captured for scientific purpose, because we capture every single year. We have to capture lynxes for analysis, for health status, and for genetics, and for putting colors. And this is Sabu from NS here. And so in terms of reproduction, what happened? So reproduction started in 2016, and the number of breeding females increased very quickly. Here we have the first reproduction of this female tetragonia. It was from last year, 2 cubs, one, just a curiosity. Usually we start to detect the litters in the last week of May. But this year was a very strange year, last year, 2024. So this photograph is from April. So it's very early from this, the cubs start to walking with the mother, but well, probably the births were a little bit earlier that year. But that's this is a very important also thing that this year happened, that we surpassed 50 breeding females, and the distribution of the females was very they match a lot to the distribution of the population, with some birth here in the north, most of them concentrated in the central population, but some of them a little bit south. So, and this is a landmark, important landmark, because this represents 30 reproductive females, and a population that achieves this number is considered established population. So releases from this number afterwards, they are only made for genetic purpose. So we reached this point. So we are stopping the continuous releases of animals, and we consider this population as an established population. So this is just an evolution of the covered area. As you can see, in 2015, just about 51 square kilometers, coinciding with the areas where the lynx were released. And then the population started to grow. Some animals dispersed north, established a nucleus there. Very important thing about this nucleus here is that it was founded by a female that was released here in this area, and the male, because it was very interesting. I'm just going to tell you the story a bit quick. So this female dispersed to north, and we thought that the female was going away. We were still very inexperienced by then, and we thought in capturing the female and bringing back to south. But then we decided to let her stay there. And then we realized that she was in an abandoned house. And then we realized that she had 3 cubs. And so if she had 3 cubs, there should be a male there. But the thing is that all the males that we released, we have control. They were controlled, and none of them was there. So what happened? What happened is that we detected by camera trap a male, an adult male that was born in the population of Doñana in southern Spain, somewhere like here. So it was the first recorded dispersal of an animal that was born in wild in Spain that came to Portugal, that found a female and that bred over there. Interesting, that male, after 3 years, was expelled by his own sons, and he went back to Spain, to another population where he also reproduced. So the population start growing, and when we reached 2019, it was also a landmark year because we detected the first reproduction year. This is another region of Portugal. It's called Algarve, very well known for tourism, and we detected here a reproductive female. And it was incredible because it was a female that was born here in the wild, and the male was a male that was released somewhere here from captivity. So these nucleus start growing, and they start to becoming continuous. And now this is the situation from last year. So the population had a very important growth, not only in terms of number, but in terms of occupied area. So now we have almost a continuous area from here in the north, this part is called Serpa, to here. And here we have 2 isolated males that live in a golf course. They are very famous because there are lots of videos from Facebook with them, with people playing golf, and they see the lynxes there, because usually golf courses have lots of rabbits. They don't hunt there, and they are very they are very green, so lots of rabbits. In terms of mortality, till now we have 57 detections, which is probably a small fraction of all the deaths. Probably most of the deaths occur by competition, by fighting, because when you capture an animal, and particularly if it is an old animal, they usually present lots of injuries from fighting. So probably most of the deaths come from competition. But non-natural death, most of them come from collisions with vehicles. And this is becoming a problem. This is the most important cause of death, not only in Portugal, but in Spain. And from those 57 deaths, 70% are from collisions. And so there are some spots here in some roads that, well, that presents a problem. We had another one here, and that one we solved it. These ones are a little bit difficult, but we are working with the Portuguese institution, which is called the Portuguese Infrastructures, which manage the roads. They are also a partner of the project, and they are developing solutions for preventing this. So which is a problem, because we already lost. Last year, we lost 2 pregnant females by vehicle collisions, and this year we already lost 1. But mostly we have something like one collision every month, and this year we have till now 3. So the solutions, this one here, we solved the problem. We have 4 deaths in this road, but then first of all, they put some signs here, vertical signs, velocity control. And then this fence was installed. This fence prevents the lynx from crossing. And then they were conducted to underpasses below the road. And this worked very well. I have here a video of some lynxes crossing one of these passes. This is a family. This is a female with I think a female cub. This is a male, an adult male, probably the father. And then we have another cub passing. And I think in the next video, it's not here, but I think we have another one. So they are all monitored by camera trapping, and here we have very good results. But now we're, according to the technology evolution, we are going to a next step, which is this system, the LoRaWAN system. What that means, long range, wide area network. The colors are occupied with these transmitters. They work with low potency, so the battery can last for years, lots of years. And here we have some of the movements of the lynxes. We can program them to send every 10 minutes a location, but we introduce another possibility. So when an animal reaches a buffer of 200 meters from dangerous roads, mostly from the roads where most of the collisions occur, they send us a signal to the waste platform with the presence of an animal on the road. And this signal can also be transmitted to electronic panels on highways. It is still experimental. We only put this on 12 lynxes just to test the system. But now we are trying to put something like in 40 lynxes to see if it works. And we are also experimenting another solutions such as electric fences and other warn signals. But it's rather complicated to control this cause of death, because even in some places where there are passages, bridges, the animals sometimes they tend to cross by the road. So it's and also another problem is that most nearby the roads, it's a very good habitat for rabbits. And so sometimes the lynx go to the road, not to cross the road, but to enter rabbits, and that can lead to a collision. So what happens in the Iberian Peninsula? So the species had a tremendous growth since the beginning of the century due to all these conservation efforts, and till 2016 it was critically endangered with high risk of extinction. In 2016, due to the evolution of the population with the tendency of growth, the species was classified to endangered, which is still a very high degree of menace. But last year it passed vulnerable. I think in the 21st century there's only one case like this where a species decreased 3 stages of threatening, and it was, I think, the Arabian oryx. I'm not sure, but someone told me that 2 days ago, because I thought it was the only case, but apparently not. So this is the situation in Spain. As you can remember from one of the first slides, the species was reduced just to year and year with less than 200 individuals, and now more than 2,000 individuals are occupying almost the historical range of the 60s, of the 1960s. And so that's a very optimistic situation, but now we are facing different problems. And one of the problems that we are facing currently is the attack on livestock. It's not very common on lynxes, very common on wolves. We have that problem in North Portugal, north of Spain, but in the south there aren't wolves. But it's happening, and we are trying to deal with that. First of all, with approval of legislation that can compensate the damage, and with a quick intervention. Usually, lynxes prey mostly upon chickens, but with an electric fence, put it in the same day when the attack occurs, usually solves the problem. But we are dealing with it, and in the wider way, this project is very recognized by the population as a good thing. So what about the future? So currently we are working with this project, LynxConnect, with that has some important goals. It also congregates something like 20 Iberian agencies, public agencies, and also NGOs and hunter groups. And main goals are to connect populations, to enforce the populations that we already create, to create new populations, and try to see if all the species can work as a meta population. So here we have this map. One of the innovations of this project is create these stepping stones. These are bridge populations that can connect all of these as a single population, and animals can dislocate between these nucleus and spread their genes. So in Portugal, created 2. There are lots of them in Spain. These populations are not sustainable alone, but they can have reproduction, and they can also provide lynxes for other populations. We already have cases of animals that came from here to Portugal and from Portugal to here and to here. So this is working quite well. So looking towards the future, there was a seminar promoted by WWF in Madrid in 2019, and it was to see what we need to do just to put the lynx in a favorable conservation status, without not being threatened. So first of all, the conclusions are we need to establish new weight reintroduction areas, and lots of other regions in Spain, in the north of Spain, there's Catalonia and Madrid and Castilla and Leon, which they are a little bit north, are already working with a project for reintroduction in other areas. And another reintroduction area in Portugal is intended to be created, and we want to achieve a favorable conservation status for the species by 2035. And to achieve that, what we need in terms of numbers, something like this: 700 reproductive females and something like 3,500 lynxes. We are not very far from here, and probably what is going to happen if this tendency still occurs, continues to occur, probably we're going to achieve this earlier than the 2035. Let's see. The official numbers for this for 2024 are not still available. They are going to be available in a month or something like that, but we are probably very near from 3,000 lynxes. And this is just the last slide. It's the impacts on national heritage. The truth is that this project was very accepted by all the population. I have here two examples. I like them very much because it's very gratified to see that lynxes are now appearing in art and other things. This is in Lisbon. This is a statue made by plastic by a Portuguese artist. It's called Brodalo II, and he did an Iberian Lynx, and it's a very popular statue, and this was only possible because the species was brought back from extinction. And another example here, it's from this municipality, which is called Mertolo, where the first lynxes were released. That's a city that has lots of Islamic influence because it was under Islamic rule for about 500 years, and so they have the architecture is very Arabic, and the symbol of the city till a couple of years ago was two Islamic arches. But as you can see, one of the arches became a lynx. So it's something like the capital of the lynx, and this is quite remarkable, I think. And so I'm going to finish my presentation. I want to thank you all of you for hearing me, and well, and now I think I'm going to Q&A. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pedro. Yes, we're going to head into Q&A. Thank you so much for the very interesting presentation, and it's really heartening to hear a conservation success story. I mean, nowadays it's quite rare. Anyway, so let me go ahead and turn on my video as well. And we have run over our time a little bit, but I see that the majority of our audience is still here, so that's great. We do have, if you can spare a bit more time with us, you know, we'll take the questions, and hopefully the audience would stay with us as well. So Vilma, would you like to ask the first question?
I will. What are some of the... Can you hear me?
No sound.
I can actually. Pedro, you cannot?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Maybe I will mute. Can you hear me now?
I think we can hear each other well. I think maybe Pedro is...
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? I wonder, yeah. Can you hear me now, Pedro?
Wilma, maybe you
Yes.
want to WhatsApp him? Do you have his number?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, then maybe you WhatsApp him.
Pedro, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
I
Okay.
can hear you. Don't know what happened.
Okay.
Did you the entire presentation, or it was my?
We heard everything. Now it's just
Okay.
question and
Okay.
answer, and
Okay.
that was, yeah, we heard everything. Thank you very much. So there are several questions. Well, we want to know a little bit about some of the challenges of captive breeding. What conditions are necessary, and how to decide what age to release.
Okay, so most of my work is not about captive breeding. I don't know if I have here some. Just let me check your guess. I just trying to see if there's someone from the captive breeding center. No, there's nobody. So first of all, I'm sorry. The most challenges. So captive breeding. Well, it's a complex process, but the truth is that the species reproduce very well, not only in the wild but also in captivity. So the main problem was not the number of lynxes that reproduce, but there are challenges because the animals they have to have very strong protocols, because the animals cannot be adapted to human presence. So they have lots of techniques to make him hostile to humans. Sometimes they don't work, but even with wild animals, sometimes that doesn't happen. But one of the problems that happened, and astonishingly a bit of people in the beginning, was that when the lynxes, the young lynxes, they reach something like 35 days, they start fighting till death. That's I think that was only described for lynx in Siberia or something like that. And so in the first years they were losing some lynxes due to that. And so sometimes they separate the animals, or they are very aware of that problem, and they do some video vigilance also for avoiding that. They have also some problems regarding to the inbreeding with lynxes with infertile lynxes, the males with just one testicle, or with both testicles inside of body cavity. There was problems of nutrition. Of course, it is expensive to maintain a breeding center, and you also have to train the animals for living in the wild. Most of the animals are released in the second year. So animals that were born last year in 2024, they are being released right now, because it coincides with the dispersal. So it's kind of natural that the animal is going to change its environment.
Carmen, you have a question?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for answering that one. So this question goes back to the beginning of your presentation. It's about the challenges. And I think there was one question that came in that says, was the largest, the decline of the rabbit population, was that the largest contribution to the decline of the lynx population? And then similarly, you mentioned human persecution. What exactly were the lynx being persecuted for? Is it also, attacking poultry, etc.? So can you address these two early decline in their population?
Yes. First of all, yes. In the beginning, we thought that the main cause of the lynx regression was the decrease of rabbit populations. But now I'm not quite sure of that, because what happened in Portugal and Spain by the 1950s, it was that there were conducted several campaigns to eradicate predators, lynxes and wolves. People were paid to present lynxes fur or head or claws or whatever. And we have registers of that because they were paid, since they were paid, this is written. And sometimes for some regions, we see something like this. Imagine this, in 1955, there were presented 20 lynxes. In 1966, 15. In 1967, 5. In 1968, 1. And in 1960, 0. So probably they were exterminated from lots of places, deliberately. But then, and that came from hunters, really from some hunters. We have a book from the 1950s called the Hunting in Portugal, something like that. And I think it was the first written reference that someone is saying that it was a shame. It will be a shame if we lose these animals. It's such a beautiful animal. We need to protect him immediately. We need to stop hunting him and hunting the species, and we need to protect it. But I think it was a little bit too late because it continues to be killed in some situations as poaching, when we found an animal poaching chickens, and with not only with guns, but with snares, with traps, with that things. It's more rare now, but it happens. We have one confirmed case, but that was poison. That was a poison bait that it was the only confirmed case that we have in Portugal, and we have two cases that we suspect that the animal was also poached, but we are not quite sure. And we have an animal that died, female that drowned, but when we do in the necropsy, the X-ray revealed that she had pellets in the body. So the pellets didn't kill her. She survived, but someone shot the lynx. Now it's very rare, not only for a matter of conscious evolution of the population, but also because people know that they have a collar, and they fear a little bit for that they're going to be detected if they kill the lynx. But things are much better now. It's not comparable to what was 50 years ago or 20 years ago.
Vilma?
So to mitigate human lynx conflict, are there subsidies for the implementation of electric fences? And who handles the mediation? Are they NGOs or the government?
Okay, so you have both cases. We are we currently all the financial support comes from the LIFE project. So within the LIFE project, we have some measures to prevent the attacks. We have a team that can do first of all, we have to confirm if it's a lynx or a fox or whatever. It's very easy to confirm the lynx. We can do it by camera trapping, can do it by genetics also. And then we operate in our region where we work. It's mostly the government that does it, but there's another project in another region done by an NGO. It's called Rewilding. This Loopy Lynx project is about wolf and lynx, but the association is Rewilding Europe, and they also have in their project to implement those kind of measures, not only for lynx, but also for wolf. So we have both situations.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple of questions in about funding. So one is, how is your funding prioritized by species, by countries, and do all the countries contribute to the fund? Because reintroduction is expensive and challenging. So another question is, how much does it cost to then reintroduce one animal into the wild?
Okay, one animal into the wild, I'm going to start with that. We have some calculations, something like, it can vary, but something like 15,000 euros, something like this. But I think in the beginning it was a little more expensive. It really depends on the number of sensors and the number of animals that are produced. The funding for these projects comes from two parts. First of all, from the budget of the country, but also from the European Union. So each country contributes a lot to the European funds. And so this project is financed 60% by the European Union from the European Union funds. So saying in other words, by all the European Union countries, they contribute to the fund, and 40% by the state. But we have three organizations in Portugal. We have three organizations from state agencies. As we are the ICNF, we are responsible for nature conservation. There's also an association of municipalities and the infrastructures, the agency that that manage roads and trains and everything. They are working in the part related with the vehicle collisions.
We have several people saying that, congratulating you and your team on the wonderful success. Someone wants to know, what were the moments during the process that were particularly difficult? Could be political, financial, societal, where the setbacks felt insurmountable, and how did your team navigate that? So the very challenges, how did you all manage to get out of that?
Yeah, there were lots of challenges, but sometimes these things only happen when we have political willingness to do things. Sometimes they happen like that. But it's just a small example. I think we took about 2 or 3 years to get this subject in the Iberian Summit. So we are in a low level. We have to take this to the Ministry of Environment, and they deal with lots of things that have much more impact, such as water supply and pollution and other stuff. So imagine this: we had everything ready for the Iberian Summit. The Iberian Summit was going to occur within a week. We took about 2 years to prepare everything. Everything was prepared, and then the government resigns just 1 week from the Iberian Summit. The Iberian Summit is cancelled. We lost 2 years just with this. And then we had the opposite. In 2014, we had the luck. We are lucky enough to have a politician, a Secretary of State, that decided that the lynx was going to be reintroduced, and he gave us 1 year to do it. So everything was stopped, and then he just decided that you have 1 year to do it. So we are going to do it, and I can tell you that in the day that we released the lynx in the enclosure, it was 16th of December. In the morning, we were still constructing the enclosure. We just finished the enclosure about 1 hour before the release, because the political pressure was very high. But we knew that it was a unique opportunity, because sometimes what happens is that if the government changes, we have to do everything from the beginning. We have to convince people. We have to introduce all the files, everything, for the politician to be aware of the problem. And so this was a little bit challenging. Another challenge was our inexperience. So when we started the project, none of us have done a reintroduction before. And we have something like 1 year in Spain of experience to do it. So the first year, I can tell you that I was extremely nervous every single day. We were just like lynx shepherds, something like that. Everything, it was very important that everything went absolutely perfect, because we knew that the government was going to change. It was going to be another political party in the government in the next year. And if this project fails, they're probably going to say that they are going to blame the previous government, and they're going to stop it. So it has to be a success. So it was very complicated that first year. We worked till the exhaustion, basically, but we only lost 1 lynx, so it was a success. And then in the next year we had a reproduction, so everything went okay.
Yeah, congratulations really to the team, for such, success. And as mentioned by one of the audience, political I guess will and collaboration is definitely key. So Vilma, I see that we're way overrun in time. So I think I don't want to keep everybody for much longer. Shall we ask the last question?
We shall, and we want to. I mean, we're going to ask the last question, and we ask everyone to stay for a photo. Okay. So the last question is, Dr. Pedro, if you have just one wish for the Iberian lynx, and that wish was granted like tomorrow, what wish would that be?
Rather complicated, but I can, the most important thing, the wish, is that people and lynx can live together in the same landscape, even though sometimes it happens some kind of conflict. I think it's the most important wish. If people don't kill them, they are going to endure and they are going to survive. And that's and probably with everything that we did till now, I have a colleague of mine over there, it's João Alves. I just want to say first of all, congratulate him also, because first of all, because he wake up so early just to hear me, and also because he has something like a saint, because he's doing all the dreadful work that we have to do, most of the administrative work, most of the boring work, and he's been doing lots of things during all these years, and thanks to them, thanks to him also, because he's done a lot, not the funny part, because I've done it, that the funny part in the field, but what he have done, it was
absolutely
important for this success.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Joao, as well. I mean, in fact, he was the first person that I contacted and put me in touch with you. So thank you, the whole team. So right now, as Vilma said, it's our tradition to take a Wi-Fi with everybody. So I'm going to remove all the spotlights, and if everybody can
just put on their cameras just for a little while, so that we have a picture of your faces together with Dr. Pedro.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a couple of people going to help us, a couple of volunteers, which so nice to see. Karina and Helen both are going to take photos. So we will be sure that we'll have one photo at least. And we also want to thank everyone for staying to the end. That's so wonderful. So if you can take, yes, thank you. Can we see more faces? And, Karina and Helen can take photos of you. You're all looking very good.
Okay, I'm going to count down, all right? So, Mom, can you turn off the...
Thank you, Satya, for getting your daughter to do it.
I'm going to count down. Everybody can smile. Can everyone turn your camera on, please?
Please.
Okay, smiling faces. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me get a bigger one with everyone else.
Now, like a lynx claws.
Oh, yes, little tiny.
I don't know what sound they make, but like, what sound do they
Okay,
make?
ready? 1, 2, and 3. All right, got it.
Thank you very much, Karina and Helen. Thank you for taking photos. And thank you to everyone for being here. Nice to see all of you.
Yeah, thank you. And hope to see everybody again in our next lecture. And thank you again, Pedro.
Thanks, Pedro.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
It was a great talk. Very lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.